I would do all the research in the world. I would look at all our competitors. I would do all the things in the book when it comes to creating an ad, and then the ad doesn't work. This has happened to us a lot of times over and over again. So in this video, I'm going to share the perfect way for me to explain this would be, think of your ad as a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle to be more specific. Not only do you need to have all the right pieces, but you also need to put these pieces together to solve the puzzle. So what would happen is you might miss a couple of pieces in the puzzle, or quite often, which is, I would say, the most common reason, is you have all the pieces, you just can't figure out how to put it together in the right way. So you might be putting pieces everywhere else, but not in the right way. In simple terms, what I basically said was gathering all the data and then executing it. So you might either not gather data correctly, or you might not execute on it properly, which is, I would say, the most common reason why ads fail. Is just an execution problem. And this would happen for a lot of reasons. Music is bad, the editing is bad, the UGC creator you used is bad. It could be anything. Overall, the way you put the pieces or the data that you gathered, maybe you missed a couple of things when you're gathering data. Because of this, the execution of the ad, the final output does not come out to be good. The root cause for this essentially stems from the initial ideation and the research. You basically miss something that's very crucial. It could be something big or something small in your initial research when you're creating the ad. And this small or big thing can significantly impact the overall performance of your ad. It's not the fact that the idea that you came up with or the concept that you came up with is bad. It's just the way you executed on this idea is bad. Maybe the editing is bad, music is bad, UGC creator is bad, hook is bad, whatever. Just the execution of it is bad. The most common reason that an ad wouldn't work when you've done all the research, done all the things that you need to do when creating an ad, and the ad didn't work, is because of the actual hook. You need to make sure that your hook is really, really, really good. Your hook is pretty much like 80% of your ad. If you mess up the hook, you messed up 80% of the ad. It's that essential. If a person does not watch your hook, they won't watch the rest of the ad. You need to put a lot of effort into creating this hook, but also remember to put the right type of effort. You might spend a lot of time creating a bad hook. Just because you spend hours creating the hook doesn't mean it's going to be a good hook. You might put hours and hours into creating the hook and it might be horrible. I'll give you an example which happened to us. So we made an ad which is very close to a competitor ad. We essentially saw a competitor doing a lot of iterations, creating a lot of variations of this ad, and we were going to make something similar. So the ad that we made was also very, very similar to that, but it didn't perform. It didn't perform it was horrible. The performance was horrible. So I did the stupid thing and then created a lot of variations of this ad without basically taking a few steps back. I just created a lot of variations. None of them worked. When I mean they didn't work, they were horrible. The performance was so bad. But what we did was all of us, everyone in the team got together and reviewed these ads to see what was going on, because now we've created almost 50 to 100 ads and none of them stick. And after that discussion, the conclusion that all of us came into was the hook is different than the ones that all of our competitors were running. Pretty much the visual that we had in the hook, the very first visual, it was different than what our competitors were running. We pretty much had the same idea. We just needed to show a before and after of a person losing weight. We had that on the video, but it was different. The one we had, it was polished. The video looked like a stock video. It looked like a stock video. It was not a stock video. It was pretty much like a UGC type of video, but it looked very polished. It looked like someone put a lot of effort into recording it. And all of the iterations that we made also followed the same structure. So instead, what we did was we swapped it, and also we took into account all the factors in this hook visual. So the way the before and after was recorded, whether it was a mirror selfie, whether it was something like this where you record, whether it's with somebody else, what was the pose they're in, what was the lighting looking like. We took all these factors into account and we redid the ad, and surprisingly, it worked. It's not because the fundamental reason it worked is not because we changed the footage. It was because of the impact the footage had. It made the ad so much more relatable. A visual is not just a visual. it says something, it communicates something. You're trying to make an ad very relatable. So the hook was pretty much the problem. We were showcasing the problem instead of writing it. So the way we showcased the problem previously is not realistic. It's not something our demographic, the person that we are going after, would do. It was not something normal to them. But when we switched it, it was normal. It was a real life situation. It's something that they can relate to. So whenever they see the ad, they're like, oh my God, this is me. I do the same thing. I look like this. I take pictures like this. What's this about? So the effect, the emotional effect that would have on the user or the person watching the video changed completely. And as a result of this, the ad worked. So it was the same ad. All the ads had the same body. We just changed the hook and we made 8 ads. 3 of them turned into hits and 1 of them came very close to hitting KPI. So when you are looking at your hooks, you need to look at the psychological effects that the ad would have in the hook. By saying this certain thing, by showing this certain visual, what kind of an effect does it have on the person watching it? Or whether it has an effect at all. In the example that I gave you previously, when we had stock footage, it didn't have any effect. The person probably saw the video and was like,
what kind of bullshit is this? This is obviously fake.
They can see through the bullshit when they first saw the initial version of the ads. It is very important that you look at what kind of an effect does the visuals and also the text have in the hook. And another example, so we were going after the gym audience, people who would go to the gym and work out, very serious about their health and fitness. The change that I'm about to show you was done as an iteration of an ad to make it perform even better. And the change was we changed the music. We changed the music from whatever it is in the ad to funk, the doom, like the gym music. And the ad worked significantly well just by changing the music, because once again, when they see the ad, the emotion that comes in their head is completely different than having the type of maybe, I don't know, lo-fi music. It's completely different, the effect that it has on the person. Basically, you're making the ad very relatable. You're making the visuals, the music, the text, all of these things much more relatable to the person who's watching it. That's what you're basically doing. So whenever you have an ad that's not working, pay attention to the hook. See if it actually has an effect on the person who's watching it. Is the use case correct? Is the visuals correct? Pretty much the execution of the hook. Is it correct? How do you know whether it's correct or not? It's basically through research and looking at historical data. You can basically take a look at this through your own data. Maybe you can look at your own ads, or what would be easier is you look at competitors and also organic content. Both of these things are 2 very valuable sources of information and data for you to make decisions. So deep dive into this, use AI as well. Basically, you can put the transcript, put pictures, even upload the video, and tell Gemini, in my experience, works best if you are going to upload a video. So upload it and tell it to tell the difference between what you have created and what you just uploaded. In this way, you can see what are the changes that you need to make in order to make your ad work and why you need to make the change. I think you need to understand why, simply because when you're creating newer ads, you need to have that context in your head so that you don't make the same mistake again. And I think the other way that you can mess up your ads is by being too creative. When you're making the ads, when you're putting these pieces together of the puzzle, so essentially creating the ad, if you become too creative, like earlier, you might steer away from what people might want to see in order to buy whatever you're selling. So you might become really creative. You might come up with a really creative idea, but it's too creative. Historically, it's not something that would work. But I do recommend always that you leave a little bit of room where you become wildly creative, where you just come up with stuff out of the blue and you test it. Because I've personally created ads just right off the top of my head, and these ads have performed exceptionally well. So don't be afraid to become wildly creative, but make sure you give room. Majority of your ads, a majority of your spend ideas, or the ads that you come up with, all of these things, majority of it, make sure it's stuff that can be backed by data. Make sure there's enough data, historical data, saying there's a good chance this might work. So yeah, if you're trying to be creative, go for it. There's no problem at all with being creative. But once again, leave a little bit of room where you do that too. But majority make sure you follow the data. There's a quick tip that I can recommend, which works really well for us, is whenever you make an ad, make sure 2 people review it before it goes out for production, because you get 2 perspectives of 2 people trying to get the same outcome. And one thing I always talk about here is you need to be really deep, and you need to be in the product. You need to eat, breathe, and live the product. I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point, right? You need to pretty much be in the product itself. And when 2 people do the same thing, whatever you create, all the ads that you create, anything you create, it gets 2 perspectives. So whenever you come up with a new idea, it gets reviewed by a person who's also, they would also look at it and be like, okay, we can change this, change that, make this adjustment, that adjustment, and give their input, and make the chances of that ad working much higher. And also the other important thing, which is like a byproduct of doing this, is they might get a new idea by looking at it. This happens to us very often, where someone creates an ad and I review it, and when I'm reviewing it, I get a new idea because of the angle and the way this person has written it. If you have the capability, make sure 2 people review the ads that you make, just to increase your chances of getting a winning ad. And finally, this is also something that can really mess up your ads, and it has to do with the product itself. Maybe the app in general might be bad, or you're missing a certain feature that people really like. The way you test this is, first of all, look at what other people are selling, what are the features they have. So you don't have to build this in the product. If you want to test if this is the reason the ads are not working, all you have to do is you can create some fake ads where you showcase the feature and then you run it. This is just to get a signal, just to get data to see if this is why the ads are not working. So you can make up the feature on your ads. You can say your app does this and this and this, and then run it. And if it's driving positive performance, then you can come to the conclusion that you are missing this feature. So you can try different features, create different ads, and test this out. And if there are any problems, you can just detect it right away. So that's it for today's video. I hope it helps you out. Now also, if you have any questions, you can leave them down below, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.